Hey guys, welcome back to the Film Chaser, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Daredevil from 2003. Been a long time since I've seen this film. I watched it a handful of times when it came out, and then kind of forgot about it. Never touched it till now. Just rewatched it. This is from the Fox era of Marvel back in the early 2000s. Before there was 10 superhero movies a year. We might have gotten one or two if we were lucky. And this is very much a product of its time. Whether we're talking about the formula of the story or the soundtrack especially, there's so much here that screams early 2000s. It's a very flawed film, but somewhat entertaining, if that makes any sense. And I watched the director's cut for the first time for this video, which adds 30 minutes of cut footage. And it does help the movie in certain aspects, fleshes out a bit more of the story, but it still has problems. And before Ben Affleck was Batman, he was Daredevil. A lot of people seem to forget that, and it's probably for good reason. I find he's a pretty good Matt Murdock, though, when he's doing the lawyer side of things. He's good at playing this, like, damaged character. But when he's Daredevil, he's kind of just like, whatever. He fits the role, but he's nothing special. But I do like the dark atmosphere and tone surrounding the Daredevil character in this. And just the world itself just feels more dark and gritty and just less colorful and childish compared to like later MCU films, for example. It doesn't feel like they were trying to target kids. And I thought it was kind of clever how they shot the action scenes, the combat, because Daredevil's obviously blind, but he uses his other senses at max, right? So he's using almost like sonar and using vibrations and like the rain or water to be able to see. And the way the movie shows you that visually is very cool. Unfortunately, the way he moves around and jumps from building to building is terrible. They use a lot of CGI. There's not a lot of practical stunt work here when it comes to the movements. And he's using gadgets like zip lines and stuff. It almost makes him feel like Batman at times. But yeah, it's very cartoonish, his movements in that, because it's heavily CGI'd. And the story just has a really odd structure to it. I love the beginning. I love the origin of this film, showing how Matt Murdock became blind as a kid with the acid and everything. How he has this bond with his father and they both make a pact to be the best versions of themselves as possible, with Matt studying and becoming a lawyer, being very smart, and his father leaving the life of crime behind and going back to being a boxer again. That is so great. Once his father gets murdered by Kingpin's men, I feel like that's where the writing starts to become terrible. Everything gets rushed. Nothing gets developed after that scene. We jump right to Daredevil being Daredevil in the future, right? And everything just feels so underdeveloped. It's like if the movie was broken up into 3 acts. The first act is basically half of the movie, all the setup with the characters and everything, before we really get any forward momentum within the plot. It literally takes an hour for us to meet Elektra, to see a bunch of the court case and everything, which I do like. Like I said, this director's cut is over 2 hours long, so that's what I'm going by here. But they do add in this whole subplot of Matt Murdock working on a case. He's defending this character who's played by Coolio, and all this is cut from the main film. But it really does add to at least Matt Murdock's character and a bit of the main storyline here, so that is great. But yeah, like I said, the first hour of this film is just so much setup, learning about all these characters and that, but really not learning the right things. They spend more time on useless stuff and things you should be spending time on, like learning more about Elektra and working on Elektra and Matt's relationship, their love interest and everything. All that is super rushed and so thin that you don't care about stuff when they actually happen. So like I said, the first act is basically all set up for the first hour. Then Bullseye finally shows up, because the first half of this movie he was just traveling, trying to get here. He finally makes it to New York and kills Elektra's father, setting it up, making it look like Daredevil did it, right? And then we move into the second act, which is like 25 minutes long, tops, where we get Elektra's dad's funeral, her obviously blaming Daredevil, thinking it's him. And she has this little training montage, which is so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous with these bags of sand coming down in her mansion. And she's just like taking them out with her little swords. It is so frigging cheesy. So cheesy. And then we just jump right into the third act, basically, with Elektra going out to try to take out Daredevil. She has a little fight with Daredevil on these rooftops. Then Bullseye shows up. She has a little fight with Bullseye. Ultimately, Bullseye kills her, which I'm like, damn, the movie kind of had balls there. I have to give them credit for that. And then you have the whole standoff fight in the church with Daredevil and Bullseye. And then we have the whole final fight with Daredevil and Kingpin. But it's just jumping from point A to point B to point C. All these fights, all really quickly rushed in the final act. And then the movie ends. It's like, the movie is not well balanced at all when it comes to the story. And Elektra is played by Jennifer Garner in here. And she does a fantastic job. Nothing wrong with the casting with her. But, like I said, her character is just so rushed. They show up. She shows up and literally fights Matt Murdock in a playground in a really, again, super cheesy fight. Obviously, they're in front of a bunch of kids and stuff, so they weren't really trying to kill each other. But them jumping on like teeter-totters and stuff, it's just really weird and bizarre. Again, it's like this movie for the most part has a dark tone, but there's some weird things like that in this film that kind of throws off the tone as well. And like I said, they just skim over everything about her character, how her father's just this rich guy, and how she had some training and stuff in the past. And we really don't know nothing about her. And it seems like her and Matt just kind of fall in love instantly. There's no build up to it. So when it comes time to her death, her tragedy, everything's so rushed before that you don't really care. It doesn't have as big of an impact as it should, especially emotionally. Like, you really feel nothing. And Matt Murdock, Daredevil, you know, being pissed that she died, obviously being his love interest, again, it just doesn't have that big impact as it should. And of course, like I said, her whole little montage in her mansion is ridiculous. Just sandbags falling from the ceiling, which obviously she must have set up. So it's just so weird and dumb once you think about it. And to top it off, they pair it with Bring Me to Life by Evanescence, which gets multiple tracks in this movie. The soundtrack has that alternative metal teen angst vibe going for it throughout the entire thing. And yeah, it just really, again, makes it a product of its time. Hell, I was a fan of this music back when it came out, you know. A lot of people were. A lot of millennials and Gen X were. You just had to be there, I guess. Which is the same for this film. But yeah, it's just kind of funny looking back on it. And you get My Immortal playing during her father's funeral. And it's just funny getting multiple Evanescence songs in here. And the whole soundtrack itself is just very early 2000s. Then we get to Bullseye, played by Colin Farrell. And wow, his character is so cartoonish and over the top in here. It's as if he was supposed to be in a different movie. His version of Bullseye does not fit this film at all. From his dialogue to the way he acts, it's just so weird. He almost feels like a Looney Tunes character at times. The way he's like pointing at his forehead, Bullseye, Bullseye. It's just laughable, cringeworthy. I mean, it's at the point where it's so bad it could be seen as so bad, so good, that it's so good, you know? It's just, it's weird, man. It's weird. Even when I seen this movie when it came out, I found it weird. Even the way he's introduced, with this like Irish rap song playing in the background, it's just so damn weird. I know he's Irish, but just the way they set him up. And like I said, the first half of the movie is just him traveling, trying to get to New York, like on a plane and everything, and all the little mishaps he ends up in on the way there, like killing people along the way and stuff in really ridiculous ways. And he's definitely like the comedic relief in the film, oddly enough. And of course, we got our big bad in here, Kingpin, played by Michael Clarke Duncan. And I don't mind that they race swapped him, whatever. We got a black Kingpin. I think he could have been an incredible Kingpin if they would have allowed him to do something. Because he's really only here to be a mob boss for the whole movie, except for the very end. He gets a little fight with Daredevil in the finale. But for most of this flick, he doesn't really do anything. He's just bossing people around, being a crime boss. I get that's what he is, but there's more to him than that. We really get no backstory on him, no origin, nothing. And I mean, this actor has the chops to give him a really in-depth character here, to make him much more threatening, but they don't do that. They basically get him to just hire Bullseye, and he's just using Bullseye for most of the movie, right? And yeah, when Bullseye asks him about, can I have a costume? It's like, it's just so weird, man. But yeah, I feel like the race swap is nothing bad in here. I mean, it could have really worked if they just would have developed him at all. And I don't know what they were thinking introducing this character with the song Lap Dance by Nerd. I mean, it's just not what you use for Kingpin ever. Like, I like that song by Nerd by Farrell before he was Farrell, but it just doesn't fit the movie or the character at all. Now, while I was watching this, I didn't realize it was the director's cut when I put it on, right? And when we did get to the action, the violence, and the gore, I was surprised. I'm like, I don't remember there being this much blood and like penetration with knives and shit and slices. And I'm like, wow. Then I realized this is a director's cut. This is an R-rated version of the film, where the original was, I'm pretty sure, was PG-13, the theatrical cut. So that's why it was more bloody and gory. I mean, it doesn't go super far where it's like Terrifier levels or like slasher levels. No. But there is more violence in here than I expected, which is much appreciated. Really wish they could have kept it in the film. I mean, like I said, it's not too far where it's like they're decapitating people right on screen and holding up the head or anything like that. No, we don't get anything like that. But it is welcome, that's for sure. And it goes with the darker tone and atmosphere that the film was created for. It's unfortunate it had to get cut out of the film. And lastly, I just want to mention the character Froggy, played by Jon Favreau, Matt Murdock's partner as a lawyer. And this is Jon Favreau practicing to be happy in the MCU, in Iron Man and all those movies. It feels like happy. He's playing the same character basically, and it reminds me a lot of Ryan Reynolds in Blade Trinity, how he was doing like a proto Deadpool type character then. This is Jon Favreau's proto happy character as Froggy in here. And he's great. I really enjoyed him as this side character and kind of forgot he was even in this movie. But at the end of the day, this director's cut does not save the movie. It does help it. I feel like this director's cut is more of a mixed bag for me. There's elements I like, there's elements I still hate. The theatrical cut, I would say, is a step down from a mixed bag. It's a bad movie, okay? I still have nostalgia for it, so there are still moments that I enjoy that I probably shouldn't. You know, I can't imagine, if you haven't seen this movie at all when it came out and just watched it now in 2026, you'd probably think it's pretty lousy and even boring at times. And even back then, when I didn't mind this movie when it came out, when we didn't have that great of superhero flicks, it wasn't good enough for me to go out and check out Elektra, which was a spin-off of this movie that gave Elektra's character, you know, her own thing. I never really had the willpower or, you know, never really wanted to go out and watch it. And now it's even in my collection because it was given to me and I still never checked it out. Perhaps I will now that I just revisited this Daredevil movie just to see what it's all about. But I've never heard anything great about the Elektra movie and I don't think it has any fans. Not that I know of anyway. So yeah, at the end of the day, I would say only watch this movie if you're curious on how it holds up over the years, if you've seen it back then and want to see if it's really as bad as it was. By all means, check it out. Or if you're just curious on what the first adaptation of Daredevil was in live action, after now we have the Netflix TV series, the Born Again series, and I'm sure Daredevil will show up again in live action in the future. So if you're curious, maybe go back and check this out, but just know it's not a good movie. It's not a good comic book movie, superhero movie, or just good movie in general. but there is some entertainment value in here. So I'd say watch at your own risk, but I can't really recommend it. So make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on anything in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this. There will be more movie content coming, and I'm always putting out short reviews as well in shorts, so stay tuned for more. Also subscribe to my other channel, The Movie Ranker, if you're into more franchise rankings. Link to that is always in the description of my videos, guys. And until next time, thanks for watching.